The notion of a satanic new world order using global warming propaganda to repress humanity is a complex and multifaceted topic. At its core, this idea suggests that a shadowy, elite group is manipulating the narrative surrounding climate change to further their own agenda, which allegedly includes the subjugation of the masses. While this concept may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories, it is essential to examine the underlying concerns and motivations that drive this line of thinking. Proponents of this viewpoint argue that the push for climate action is not driven by a genuine desire to protect the environment, but rather by a desire to exert control over individuals and nations. They claim that the emphasis on reducing carbon emissions, transitioning to renewable energy sources, and implementing sustainable practices is merely a smokescreen for a more sinister plot to consolidate power and impose a one-world government. This supposed New World Order would supposedly be characterized by a lack of individual freedom, as people would be forced to conform to the dictates of a centralized authority. One of the primary concerns driving this narrative is the perceived threat to national sovereignty and personal autonomy. The Paris Agreement, for example, is seen as a surrender of national interest to a global authority, with countries being forced to comply with strict emissions targets and relinquish control over their energy policies. Similarly, the push for a global carbon tax is viewed as a means of redistributing wealth and concentrating power in the hands of a few elite individuals and institutions. Moreover, some argue that the climate change narrative is being used to justify a range of oppressive policies, from strict regulations on industry and agriculture to the implementation of a green police state. The idea of a climate emergency is seen as a pretext for governments to assume emergency powers, suspend civil liberties, and impose draconian measures on their populations. This, in turn, would supposedly enable the satanic New World Order to consolidate its grip on humanity, crushing dissent and opposition in the process. However, it's essential to note that this narrative is not supported by empirical evidence and is often based on a distorted view of the facts. The overwhelming scientific consensus is that human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels and deforestation, are driving climate change, and that urgent action is needed to mitigate its effects. The push for climate action is not a plot to impose a one-world government, but rather a recognition of the need for collective action to address the global problem. Furthermore, the idea of a satanic New World Order is a trope that has been used to demonize and dehumanize those who promote climate action, often with anti-Semitic and conspiratorial undertones. This kind of rhetoric is not only misleading but also dangerous, as it can be used to justify violence and hatred against individuals and groups perceived as being part of this supposed New World Order. In conclusion, while the notion of a satanic New World Order using global warming propaganda to repress humanity may seem like a fanciful conspiracy theory, it reflects a deep-seated anxiety about the erosion of national sovereignty, personal autonomy, and the concentration of power. However, it's essential to approach this topic with a critical and nuanced perspective, recognizing that the climate change narrative is driven by a genuine concern for the planet's well-being, rather than a sinister plot to control humanity. By promoting evidence-based discourse and encouraging critical thinking, we can work towards a more informed and constructive conversation about the challenges facing our world.